The year was 2008. It was a cold evening in New York. Thousands of people were making their way home through the crowded streets of Manhattan. Among them was 26-year-old Ethan. A laptop bag hung from his shoulder, exhaustion covered his face, and the same question that lived in the minds of millions of people around the world kept running through his head. Will I ever truly become rich? Ethan worked for a good company. His salary was decent. His parents were proud of him. His friends considered him successful. Yet deep inside, something felt wrong. Every day he saw people younger than him who seemed far ahead in life. Someone had become a millionaire at 30. Someone else had sold a company at 28 and earned millions of dollars, earning millions of dollars. Others displayed luxurious lifestyles all over social media. And every time Ethan saw them, the same question echoed in his mind. What do they know that I don't? That night, when he returned to his small apartment, he turned on the television. News channels were filled with stories about the financial crisis. Giant companies were collapsing. Millions of people were losing their jobs. But at the same time, another story was making headlines. Some investors had earned billions of dollars during the very same crisis. Ethan could not understand it. How could some people become even richer while the rest of the world was terrified? The next day, he asked his boss the same question. His boss smiled and said, "There are two kinds of people in this world: those who wait for opportunities and those who create them." Ethan felt the answer was incomplete. It seemed as though a much bigger secret was hidden behind those words.
A few months later, he met an elderly man named Richard. He was around 65 years old. Simple clothes, an old car. At first glance, he looked like an ordinary person. But during their conversation, Ethan discovered that Richard was a millionaire. Shocked, Ethan asked, "If you're so wealthy, why does your life look so simple?" Richard laughed. Then he asked a question of his own. "What do you think is more important, looking rich or becoming rich?" Ethan remained silent for a few seconds. Richard then said, "Most people spend money to show their success. A few people spend money to increase their success. That's the difference." The words stayed in Ethan's mind, but the story didn't end there. The following week, he met his old college friend Mark, whose life had taken a very different path. Mark had never been the smartest student in college. His grades were average. Yet now he owned a successful business. He was earning several times more than Ethan. While having coffee together, Ethan asked him directly, "What did you do that others couldn't?" Before answering, Mark pulled an old notebook from his pocket. Inside were goals he had written down 10 years earlier. One sentence appeared again and again on every page. "Learn a skill people are willing to pay for." Mark said, "While everyone else was chasing a higher salary, I was chasing higher value." Ethan fell silent. For the first time, he realized that he had always focused on earning more money, but never on becoming more valuable.
That night, Ethan went home and thought about the decisions he had made over the last 5 years. Every time his salary increased, his spending increased as well. A new watch, a new phone, new furniture, new vacations. But how much had he invested in improving himself? The answer was very little. For the first time, he realized that becoming rich might not be a game of income, but a game of decisions. Yet another question appeared in his mind. If good decisions alone make people rich, why were millions of hard-working and intelligent people still struggling? And if the secret to wealth was really that simple, why did most people fail to understand it? Ethan had no idea that in the coming months, he would discover a truth that would change his life forever. Because soon, he was going to meet a man who had started with nothing and transformed his destiny in just 10 years. And through that man's story, Ethan would finally begin to understand why some people get rich faster than everyone else. For the next few days, the same question kept circling in Ethan's mind. Do some people truly think differently, or is it all just luck? Then, one day, Richard called him and said, "If you really want answers,
Come with me this evening." That evening, they arrived in a quiet part of the city. There were no luxury offices, no expensive cars, no towering buildings, just a simple house. The door opened, and standing there was a 42-year-old man named David. At first glance, he looked completely ordinary. But as the conversation began, Ethan learned that David had started almost broke 10 years earlier and now owned enough wealth to live comfortably for the rest of his life without working. Ethan asked the question everyone asks: "What business did you start?" David smiled and replied, "Wrong question. The real question is, what habit did I start?"
The answer sounded strange to Ethan. David began telling him about his past. 10 years earlier, he had worked in a warehouse. The pay was decent, but money always seemed to disappear. Every month, he believed things would improve with the next paycheck. Yet every paycheck arrived and the same cycle repeated itself. One day, he looked through 3 years of bank statements and was shocked. He realized the problem wasn't low income. The problem was that every time money arrived, he already had a plan to spend it. That day, he made a new rule. Every month, he would pay himself first. But paying himself didn't mean clothes, phones, or vacations. It meant new skills, new knowledge, and opportunities that could generate more money in the future. At first, the decision seemed small, but over the years, it became the turning point of his life. David shared another story. "When I was 30, I worked with a guy named Brian. He earned more than I did. Every year he bought a new car. He always had the newest phone. People considered him successful. But one day I asked him a simple question. If you lost your job tomorrow, how many months could you survive?" His answer was, maybe 1 month. That day I realized something. Many people win the race to look rich, but lose the race to become rich. Ethan listened carefully. Suddenly, many of his own mistakes came flooding back. How many times had he bought things simply because other people owned them? How many times had he chosen short-term pleasure over long-term gain? Yet another question entered his mind. If the truth was so obvious, why did so many people keep making the same mistakes?
David looked directly into Ethan's eyes and said, "Because today's pleasure is always more tempting than tomorrow's reward." Then he gave an example. Imagine 2 people. Both receive an extra $1,000 every month. One spends it. The other invests it in learning, building relationships, and finding opportunities. In the first year, there won't be much difference. Probably not in the second year either. Maybe not even in the third. But after 10 years, their lives will look completely different. Then he pointed at a chessboard sitting on the table and said, "Life is like chess. Most people see the next move. A few people see 5 moves ahead. Those are the people who usually win." For the first time, Ethan felt he was getting closer to something important. Yet one concern still remained. If the path to wealth was really this simple, could good habits alone make someone rich? Would every hardworking and intelligent person eventually succeed? It was as if David could read his thoughts. He smiled and said, "No, because there is one mistake capable of destroying even the best people, and I made that mistake myself." Ethan's curiosity instantly grew. Until that moment, he had assumed David's story was a story of non-stop success. Now, for the first time, he realized that there must have been a major failure somewhere in David's life, a mistake that changed everything. And perhaps that mistake contained the lesson that completed the picture of how wealth is truly built. That night, as Ethan left, only one question remained in his mind. What was the mistake that had nearly destroyed David? And was that same mistake still being repeated by millions of people who had no idea it might be one of the most expensive decisions of their lives?
A few years later, Ethan found himself sitting once again in the same cafe where he had once searched for answers. The difference was that this time, his face carried understanding instead of questions. He noticed that many of the people he had once envied were still standing exactly where they had been years before. Some had bought bigger cars, some had bought expensive houses, some had spent their entire income trying to impress others. But the people who focused on improving themselves, learning new skills,
spending time with the right people, and making their money work for them had slowly moved ahead of everyone else. That day, Ethan finally understood something important. People do not become rich faster because they work harder than everyone else or because they are luckier. They move ahead because they work on things whose rewards are invisible in the beginning. Just as a farmer does not dig up seeds every day to check whether they are growing, successful people give their decisions time to work. Perhaps that is why most people are shocked by someone's success. They only see the results, never the small choices that created them years earlier. As Ethan walked out of the cafe that evening, he did not carry a magical formula for becoming rich. What he carried was something far more valuable: the understanding that wealth is not a single event, but the result of thousands of small, correct decisions. And that was the secret that allowed some people to get rich much faster than everyone else.